This video provides general overview of features released in TBC version 3.70 released in April of 2016. For those that are new to TBC, or a reminder for those that are already using TBC, TBC is a survey office software enabling field-to-finish workflows with confidence. Here you can see on the left 3 editions in which TBC is offered, which are base, complete and advanced, and towards the right you can see the optional modules that you can add to any of the editions on the left. Just some of the highlights of TBC version 370. We have enabled some workflows that allow you to merge and work with edited data from multiple VC projects and combine them into one master VC project. We've done a lot of work making sure that feature coding continues to make you efficient, and also a lot of work on CAD and drafting, enabling those field to finish workflows with confidence. Also, we have done work on improving our GIS module, giving you ability to extract data and write observation metadata to GIS more efficiently, and also automated ground extraction and sampling of point clouds. So we'll start with the data review and editing, and one of the highlighted features, ability to merge survey projects. You will notice a new command under the survey ribbon called merge survey projects, allowing you to browse to a folder where you have VC projects stored, and you can check any of the VC files you want, which allows you then to merge raw and edited GNSS, total station level data. You make a change such as antenna height or prism constant, and you save that in VC, and then later you decide to combine it with another VC projects. All those edits are now stored, and they persist throughout the project merging process. And here in the list you can see the rest of the data that gets merged in this process. Another feature in this data review and editing group is ability to avoid duplicate point names. When you try to import JXLs with the points that already exist in the project, you get a window dialog such as this one prompting you to merge points. So we have added here an ability to rename points on import, so you don't have to track these points later on in the project and use the rename points command later on. You can simply handle those duplicate observations or duplicate point ID names on import. This saves you a lot of time if you're managing multiple crews and you have to kind of deal with these duplicate point names. You have the ability to rename individual points manually. You can add prefix, suffix or constant, and you can also see the preview of the point name that has been changed before you do the import. An enhancement has been done to the inverse report where we display the distances in the report as well as the area if you start and close on the same point, as you can see in this example here. Also, Trimble Access 2016 has some new stakeout methods, and those are supported in TBC, so you can see all the information about the stakeout. You can see the stakeout method. You can see those in the properties grid of the as staked points as well as in the report and in the custom export. On the feature coding and attribution, we have added the ability to include or not include a point in a surface. Very often if you're shooting a point on a top of the fence or a tree, you don't want those points to be included in the surface generation. And as you process feature codes in TBC, you will see the points have a new property called include in surface. So if you don't include a feature in a surface definition, this property is going to be set to no. Also, when you create a surface, if that point is part of the selection, you will see how many of those points have been selected. If you decide to change any of those point properties later on from no to yes or vice versa, the surface is automatically going to update because it knows it is a surface member. Some other productivity tools here are ability to auto-complete feature codes, so you don't have to kind of click in this 3 ellipses button to find out the code name. You can simply use the up and down arrows to scroll through available feature codes, very similar to as you are used to in Trimble Access. If you're creating new attributes, you can set those attributes to be optional, required, or office use only. If you're setting an attribute to be an office use only attribute, then it will be displayed in Trimble Access, but you don't have the ability to edit that attribute in the field. Previously, if something was set to office use only attribute, it would not even show up in Trimble Access. In the GIS module, one of the biggest changes or biggest enhancements was the ability to read features from the GIS. As we released the GIS module in November of 2015, we were only able to extract schema, and in this release of TBC version 370, in addition to extracting schema, you can also extract data. This allows you to take those entire records to the field and do an update to these features, and then write the entire data back, which opens ability for some new workflows such as GIS inspection. Also, you now have the ability to write observation data in the GIS, so you can write your measurement statistics back into the data source. So if you want to write the RMS, or you want to write the start and end time of your vectors, or PDOP, HDOP, or any other statistical information from your RTK or total station data, and if you have fields in the database that where those data should go, you can simply create the link between the two in the map metadata to GIS command available in your GIS ribbon. When you write features to GIS, we added this column called linked, so you know if something has already been previously written and you know you haven't done updates to that feature in the meantime, you don't have to continuously be writing that feature to the GIS database and creating numerous duplicate records. On the survey computations and COGO side of things, we did update the baseline processor. It now supports the RGP CORS network, and we have resolved some issues such as reporting and processing of Galileo constellation, also resolving some of the issues around handling the RINEX 3.02 containing Galileo and mixed ephemeris data, also resolving some issues with Beidou and QZSS on Quark files. On the Coordinate System Manager, we are supporting the new Japan GeoID model, Wisconsin Coordinate Reference System, and we have done updates to the Irish coordinate systems, as you can see here. On the more common workflows, we have made a change to the point properties, where if you import a datasheet from Opus in a local system, you don't have the ability to perform site calibration using those local coordinates, and very often you have to retype those local coordinates as global so you can perform a site calibration later on. You can now simply actually click on the point in the Project Explorer, and in the context menu you can see a new command called change local to global. You can also change global to local if that's your preference. Also, if you right click and go to the properties of the coordinate object in TBC, you will notice a quick access icon to a command called change local to global. Once you have the coordinate as a global, now you can perform a site calibration. So the suggested workflow would be to import NGS spreadsheet, right click on the coordinate and change it from local to global, and then you can go ahead and perform your site calibration. Also, when you perform site calibration, you can choose optionally to update the projection definition. What this does, it updates the false northing and false easting information, setting the projection origin in either the first point pair or mean of all point pairs in your project, and this allows you to be more efficient in managing the scale factors and keeping the project origin within the project area. On the Trimble Access and TBC import-export, we've done some improvements in Trimble Access version 2016.00. As you can see here in the project settings of TBC, if you have a state plane coordinate system, you export via JXL to Trimble Access. The first thing Trimble Access prompts you is to put in the project height, and once you put that project height, the older versions of Trimble Access would treat that as a local site, which then again, when you bring that project back into TBC, you get a message about whether you want to keep the Trimble Access or TBC system. So now that has been resolved. As you export a state plane coordinate system to Trimble Access 2016 and you put in the project height, you can see the coordinate system name is still the state plane coordinate system that has been exported, and also bringing that project back into TBC, you don't get that message about different coordinate systems. On the data interpretability, we added some ability on the DWG and DXF export where you can choose to flatten the data to 2D. And you can see here from the screenshot, if you choose not to flatten the data, you can see the Z information on the vertex on the line string, versus if you choose to flatten the data, you can see that vertex information on the Z is 0. This just allows you to work more efficiently with the data in CAD if your main purpose is just to quickly put this in a plot. Also, we've done some further DWG DXF export improvements. So one of the export options is to export points as blocks, where you can choose yes or no. So if you don't export points as blocks, you get a single AutoCAD point entities, and you can test this by running the PT style command in AutoCAD and quickly changing the point properties. Previously, you get like two crossing lines with an intersection, and when you try to snap a point, you have 5 points or 5 locations where you can snap in AutoCAD. Now you actually have a true point object where you can snap on. Also, we had some space in front of the point description that has also been resolved in this release. On the CAD and Drafting, we had a large number of improvements, and I'll start with the Scale Bar Manager, which allows you to create a dynamic scale bar, which you can choose between a double or alternating or numerical or graphical scale bars. So you have different types of scale bar, but one of my favorite things about Scale Bar Manager and Scale Bar objects in TBC now is that they're dynamically linked to your drawing. So if you change the scale of the dynaview, the scale bar automatically updates. So you don't have to do the conversion in your head and kind of be dealing with the static block entities. This is a fully dynamically linked entity to your dynaview, and as you make updates to your paper space, scale bar will update accordingly. Also, some of the other functions you've used in other softwares, like Fillet Chamfer. So with the fillet, you have the ability to select two line strings, and then you can define an arc segment specifying the radius. If you try to put in the radius that's bigger or less than the length of the line strings, you will get some warning messages. Use the chamfer if you want to create a straight line object. In both options, you can choose whether you want to trim the original entity or you want to keep the original line entities. If you have a large number of objects in the screen, you probably don't want to have labels kind of sitting on top of each other, so you can use now a leader lines command, and you can just select the label and move it anywhere you want on the screen, and it will create a link to the original label location. Also, when you update the object, the label automatically updates. So it just kind of allows you for more efficient plot creation and kind of getting the clutter on the screen. The next interesting productivity enhancement is the ability to swap label sides. Simply right click on a label and you can swap label sides. Similarly, you can also flip azimuth and bearing direction just on the right click. If you have a line string going one direction, and the azimuth is going to be computed based on the direction of the line string. if you want to have the azimuth displayed as the points were collected in a different order, you can simply right click on a label and say flip azimuth bearing label, and that will add or subtract 180 degrees to your azimuth or bearing label. Also, you can align point labels to line segments. So if you have point labels like this, you can decide whether you want to align them to the next line segment, or you can use a fixed rotation. So if all of your point labels in the project have to be tilted by a certain angle, you can set that rotation angle in the label style manager, or you can change it based on the individual case. You can separate now attributes into individual columns. So previously in the coordinate tables, all the attributes would be displayed in a same column. Now you have a checkbox in the label table style manager that allows you to separate attributes into separate columns, so you can kind of get a cleaner perspective of what attributes you have under a certain point feature. Variable offset line command allows you a lot more flexibility when you're creating line strings. You can choose 2D, 3D, or cross slope for those variable offsets. Nice feature is the ability to see results in a table view as you draw or create those offsets. TBC has a lot of COGO routines which are stored under the create point or under point creation command, and in the previous versions of TBC you had to hover above each icon to get the meaning of the operation that you will get. Right now we increase those icon sizes, and we also display what each operation does, so you don't have to hover to understand what each create point operation does. You can simply at the glance here see all of the available options, and you can choose the best one. So we have a large list of other CAD enhancement, relayer objects, naming objects, where you can quickly find any objects that are unnamed and give them names. You can also name them by simply clicking in the plan view. In the elevation fields, everywhere where you have a point field or a coordinate field and you're asked for elevation, so you can type in a slope in there, so you can choose to write it in a percentage or a ratio mode. You can now also specify deflection angles for line segments as backsides or foresides, create VPIs by offset from reference line, create boundaries from closed lines. If you have a huge number of line markings and you want to display those just on certain lines, you can do that. And we have some new snap methods from plane. On the corridor side of things, we are now supporting a new spiral type called railroad chord, which also supports the chord-based stationing, which is very common in the railroad application, as the spiral type indicates. For our German users, we have significantly enhanced our support for the REB, so you will find a whole new section called REB tools, which are going to mostly be used in the German-speaking regions. This command is very powerful as it allows you to also generate a construction report, and in the export you can include things like material volumes, corridor surface areas, cross sections, or the alignment geometry. On the point cloud side of things, we try to make point cloud handling and usability much more efficient. So we've done some improvements to the scan data engine to improve the speed of the data loading and rendering. Also, we've added some prefix views that were previously stored in the 3D view settings. You can now quickly toggle between the front, back, top, bottom, and so on. Also, you can toggle between the orthographic and the perspective views. We have added another importer and exporter for the PTX. That allows you more flexibility in exchanging point cloud data with other software packages. In the PTX you can specify the resolution density, and you can see here what would be the resolution based on the range. In the aerial photogrammetry, we have added the automatic ground extraction. This is a very useful tool as it quickly removes all the vegetation and above ground objects. So now you can generate the full point cloud including the vegetation and all of the above ground objects in the point cloud generation mode from UAS. And you can follow it up by this command to automatically extract all features on the ground. Also, if you are exporting this to other CAD packages, or if you're creating surfaces and you don't require all the point cloud density, you can use the command called sample point cloud region, where you can choose between the spatial and random sampling. With spatial sampling, you define the resolution and the spacing between your points, and with the random sampling, you select simply the total number of points you want to see in your new point cloud region. On other general software improvements in the user options, on the bottom left you will notice a thing called Manage Options that allows you to import, export, or restore default values. This allows you to quickly reuse all of your user options every time you install newer version of TBC. You don't have to go through each of these manually and set to your liking. So before you are ready to install the new version of TBC, simply go to export and save the options file somewhere on your desktop or anywhere on your servers, and then when you install the new version of TBC, you can go to import and you can load that file. This is also a good way to standardize these user options across your company if you have a preference on how your users should use the software. You can now toggle visibility by right-clicking on objects in the Project Explorer and objects from the plan view, and you can quickly change the visibility settings for those objects to on or off. We have added a view filter for station view, so if you have a lot of cameras in the station view, you can simply turn those cameras on or off. Another interesting one is the ability to keep your line work in the view filter. In case you did not know, you can launch as many plan views as you prefer in TBC, same as 3D views or station views. So you can have those views open side by side, and you can turn individual files on and off. So for example, you can see only files collected on a certain day for your QA/QC workflow. It's also a good way to kind of track your project progress. That concludes the overview of the features released in TBC version 370.